Headlines most affecting Abbotsford this week. Mayor Siemens taking the interview challenge. Small business getting a small break on vandalism. The time change, it's coming up this weekend. And the PGA of British Columbia honoring some of the locals. We'll have more in sports. Our guests this week include Mayor Siemens, as well organizers for TEDxAbbotsford, which is coming up this weekend. All right, Abbotsford, let's get started. Continuing the challenge series of interviews. So this all started with Mission Mayor Paul Horn. He challenged other Fraser Valley mayors to address their first year of the current term, whether it's the good, the bad, or the ugly. Well, last week we interviewed Chilliwack Mayor Ken Popoff. This week it's Abbotsford Mayor Ross Siemens, and we'll have that interview coming up in a few minutes' time. Small business throughout British Columbia will soon be able to apply for funding to help recover costs from vandalism and for vandalism prevention. Businesses will be able to apply for as much as $2,000 a business, and that's for repairs, and up to $1,000 for prevention measures. All of this retroactive to January 1st of this year to help businesses recoup the cost incurred throughout the year. And this rebate program will be administered by the BC Chamber of Commerce. The union representing prison officials say their members are concerned about the safety of staff and inmates over a needle exchange program proposed by corrections. It says this comes after an inmate at the medium security Mountain Institution in Agassiz died from what was believed to be a fentanyl overdose. John Randall, the regional president for the Union of Canadian Correctional Officers, says providing access to needles for inmates to inject the drugs does nothing to curb or treat addiction. The union instead advocating for OD prevention sites. The Fraser Valley has a number of these institutions in Abbotsford, Chilliwack, Mission, and Agassiz. The 2023 Archway Community Builders Award are being announced literally as we are speaking this evening. These awards recognize extraordinary people and organizations who, quote, strengthen the fabric of who we are as a community with their leadership, their volunteer work, and their collaborative spirit. abbyTV and Fraser Valley News will have the winners on social media as soon as they are made available. This year's TEDxAbbotsford is on Friday at the Student Union Building at the UFE Abbotsford campus. This year's theme, quote, in a sandbox, both in childhood play and the tech world. We must learn to test ideas, make adjustments, and innovate without fear of failure. This year, we're bringing the sandbox ethos to life. Well, you are asked to get your tickets online through the TEDxAbbotsford website. Now, a couple of weeks ago, we gave you an insight to what was going to be happening. So if you missed that interview, we're going to run it again in just a couple of minutes' time. Throughout the country, let alone the Valley, you're now seeing the sale of poppies and the fundraiser for Royal Canadian Legions right across the country. Now, this campaign brings up funds that pay for housing for veterans, gift cards from local businesses, and bursaries for high school students who have a military thread. Cue the Cher song, If I Could Turn Back Time, and no, that's not Cher, that's local impersonator Bonnie Kilrow, by the way. The change to Pacific Standard Time coming up Sunday morning at 2 a.m., which means we do get an extra hour of sleep. Now, the recurring argument of, do we ever get to go to daylight saving time permanently? That ain't going to happen. Now, in Canada, the provinces can make that decision on their own. With the U.S., even though Washington, Oregon, and California say, yeah, they do want to make the change, they have to wait for an act of Congress. And considering American politics, it's not even on the agenda this year. Plus, remember, they are going into an election year. Coming up, our interview with Mayor Ross Siemens, as well as a TEDx preview. And coming up also, local golf awards, all of that in sports. This week continues with what started off as a challenge from the mayor of Mission, Paul Horn, and he wanted all the mayors in the Fraser Valley to talk about their first year of their current term. We still have yet to hear back from the mayor of Mission. Last week we heard from the mayor of Chilliwack, Ken Popoff, and this week we have Mayor Ross Siemens of Abbotsford. Your worship, your first year is now in the books. The good, the bad, and the ugly. Let's start off with the good. What were you able to accomplish in this first year?
Yeah, it's been a great first year. We got a really good council. We started off with a strategic planning session, getting to know each other, getting to know our senior leadership team, and then just planning the path forward. So yeah, a lot of things have been accomplished. We've got our long-term flood mitigation plan submitted for the urgent works. We've got collaboration with First Nations and the BC government and the city of Chilliwack on this side. And we've also accomplished the long-term flood mitigation framework with our friends south of the border, Whatcom County, Washington State, and of course the Lummi and Nooksack First Nations, as well as our First Nations on the Canadian side. Made full recovery on our airport is coming back, one of the fastest growing airports. We're back to pre-pandemic, and we're going to surpass that. Probably a record year this year. Building permits, we're driven the wait times down. We're fully staffed in that department, and we've got probably one of our strongest years on record for development numbers. Largest investment in dairy industry happening in Abbotsford as we speak. Largest industrial development in the last 25 years in the Lower Mainland is happening in Abbotsford and well underway along Mount Lehman Road. So yeah, I've accomplished a lot. A lot of things are on the go.
I don't want to call it the bad and the ugly, but with Abbotsford and other cities are going through this too. There's only a certain amount of room you have to expand when it comes to neighborhoods. Are you running into a situation of where do we go from here? Because you're forging a way towards 200,000 people. Where do you put them? And various neighborhood plans have been in controversy of late. Do you have more room to put in more subdivisions, or are we having a space issue with the city of Abbotsford?
Well, largest geographic municipality in the province. So one of the things we're very proud of that we got over the finish line this year as well is the McKee Peak Neighborhood Plan.
Yeah.
Really comprehensive plan, worked with First Nations, worked with the Conservancy, environmental groups, and so that's about 25% of our growth is going to be in we believe in that sort of new greenfield area, and about 75% of our growth through our official community plan is projected from the city core out, and so we have the high density, and then it goes sort of gentle density into the newer neighborhoods. So some of the redevelopment and the lot splits and some of that is happening. So yeah, lots of room for growth, but it is a different type of growth. It's using our infrastructure smarter, and it's so we know that the cost of land is the real driver in the housing costs. So we're giving people those options. But yeah, so there is room for growth. We've got a very contained or defined urban development area, and so there's a lot of synergies that are happening from that. Right now, we're seeing probably about 85% of our growth is in multifamily, and we suspect that that'll change slightly to more townhouses and some single family, but we're looking probably a 75-25 split.
We'd be remiss if we didn't talk about crime. And the interesting thing was over the weekend, the announcement of this small business grant to combat vandalism. Is it enough? I mean, Abbotsford is no different than any other area, Langley, Chilliwack, whatever. You do have to deal with vandalism. Is this something that is a good program? Is it a drop in the bucket? How does the council feel? How do you feel about it?
I mean, everything's helpful. We're very proud, and one of my other roles when I became mayor was to become the chair of the Abbotsford Police Department, and I'm very proud of the Abbotsford Police Department. Our goal there is to make Abbotsford the safest city in BC. We know that with growth comes those urban challenges, and I think our police department is really engaged in proactive work. So yeah, there are some challenges that are societal, and I think we're well positioned to sort of face those things head on.
Our first conversation in this series was with Chilliwack Mayor Ken Popoff, and he took a bit of a shot at Abbotsford, saying that Chilliwack's growth was larger than Abbotsford's growth. Do you want to respond to that? He was getting a fun jab at you.
You know, Chilliwack is an amazing partner in our regional district. Some of my best friends live in Chilliwack. Some of the outdoor amenities that I use are in Chilliwack. I can see why Chilliwack is growing. I would say that we're right in there with them in the growth. I'd like to say that our plan here is what we call a managed integrated growth. And so we want to be mindful that with residential growth, we also want to make sure that we're doing the industrial growth. And so it's a balance. Because when you talk about housing affordability, it's a lifestyle affordability. So, Chilliwack, I give full marks. They're a great community and they're a great neighbor. And so I would love to take a shot at Chilliwack, but you know what? I am going to be a gentleman and not do that.
All right, I'll pass this along to the mayor. And we're still waiting for Mayor Horn to get on this as well. Again, Mayor Siemens, a big thank you for this.
Yeah, and thank you. It's always an honor and a privilege to talk about our great city, and we love the opportunity to talk about what's going on here because it's a place where things are happening. Thank you.
Thank you. And you're watching This Week. This week continues with a couple of people who you're going to know what they do with TEDxAbbotsford, and that's Melanie Beerda, Jeremy Sieben. TEDxAbbotsford itself started, 2017? Couple of blips, a little COVID thing came in. Have we missed one? No. Did we miss last year?
Last year we took a break, but this year we're back full force, ready to have some fun.
If you've never been to any type of a TEDx, doesn't matter where it is, I guess there is a theme or a mission statement. What is it?
So this event specifically, the theme itself is sandbox. So when it comes to sandbox, that's where innovation takes place. That's where creativity takes place. That's where things like happy accidents, they take place. These fearless speakers that we're going to have coming on stage, they're going to give you something that you'll be able to take home with you.
I like the line fearless speaker, and the reason being, if you're thinking you're going to sit through really dull people, no, you're not. Some of the people that are coming up, I know you don't want to play favorites, but who's your favorite? Or at least mention a few names that'll bring us in.
We have some incredible speakers that are going to be making it onto that stage. Have you ever had the question, Don, should I trust AI?
Welcome to media. Yes, more than once.
If you have had that question, you're definitely going to want to be at this show.
Okay.
Have you ever had the question, what is the power behind words and what they can do to influence people?
Yeah, very cool. And who's speaking on that?
So those two speakers, the first one is going to be Aaron.
Yeah.
The next
What's Aaron's last name?
Aaron Hunter.
Aaron Hunter, okay.
Next is going to be Les Talvio.
Okay, from Cyrus Center.
Absolutely.
Right. Very cool.
Very powerful speech from that man. We also have Sanaya Kushnel. She's going to be reiterating imposter syndrome and reframing your mind to overcome this.
Oh, very cool.
Very cool.
Very cool. Now, where's the event going to be located? This is November the 3rd, I believe. Yeah.
November the 3rd, and we're going to have it at UFE in Abbotsford.
Okay, Everett Hall or?
In the Student Union building.
Student Union, okay.
Everett Hall in the SUS building.
Okay. Now, these have to be put together with a little bit of money. We got to plug the sponsors, and I know there's a list of them, but so let's make sure that we get everybody in there.
Yeah, so our title sponsor is the Abbotsford Tech District. Our gold sponsor is the University of Fraser Valley. And our silver sponsor is Community Futures. And bronze is BCIT, and then we've got a number of in-kind sponsors as well. And we are also still looking for sponsors, so if you want to partner with us, we'd be happy to have you on board.
So if somebody wants to sponsor, just get on your social media?
Yeah, you can contact us through our website, either TEDxAbbotsford.com, or you can email us at info@TEDxAbbotsford.com, and we'd be happy to start the conversation.
Ticket prices, how much is this going to cost me? And am I looking at an 8-hour day sitting there and taking all this in?
Yeah, so as far as the ticket prices go, the base ticket is $49. If you are a student, you will get a discount, which comes to roughly $39. You're looking at a time frame between 4 and 11:30 p.m.
Very good. Okay, and again, social media everywhere for TEDxAbbotsford. And November the 3rd, we'll see you there. It's great to have you guys back because we missed you.
Yeah.
It's simple as that. And again, all over social media to find out more information. Again, thank you two for joining us. You're watching This Week in Abbotsford. abbyTV Sports, Bradley Steed of Abbotsford's Ledgeview Golf Club was awarded the Community Leadership Bursary at the recent PGA of BC Awards, the 2023 celebration. The event recognizes the province's best in golf for the past year. The description of the bursary reads, "It's awarded to an individual or faculty member demonstrating extraordinary desire and passion to make a significant difference in the lives of those around them, and in doing so, setting an example of giving back to all that the PGA of BC members can be proud of." There you go. Vancouver Motorcycle and Power Sports Show coming back to the TEDx in Abbotsford, January 12th to 14th. Yes, that's me a few years ago at the show. Canada's premier power sport event, the Motorcycle and Power Sports Show, quote, delivering plenty of excitement, fun, information, and besides, they haven't done it in a few years. So all of that is at TEDx. There's no other show in the country, by the way, with this level of brand representation. Gabrielle Attila posted a game-high 17 kills to help lead the UFE women's volleyball Cascades to a 3-set victory over the Manitoba Bisons this past Saturday at the UFE Athletic Centre. The result moves both teams to 2-2 after a couple of weeks of play in the Canada West season. So the Cascades get set to host McEwen this weekend at the UFE Athletic Centre. Tickets can be purchased online through gocascades.ca/tickets. And by the way, the games can be seen live on Canada West TV. Now, this isn't going to set well with fans of the Langley Rams or the Valley Huskers or anybody in the Fraser Valley, but congratulations to the West Shore Rebels. They came out with a massive second half to capture the 2023 BC Football Conference Championship, beating Okanagan 33-19. So the Rebels host Saskatoon November the 11th with the hopes of capturing the club's first national championship and the third straight for the BCFC. Coming up, Cari with the weather. abbyTV weekend weather. So, Cari, does the time change mean a weather change?
Well, Don, let's not compare apples to oranges right just yet. Our weather next week is going to be pretty nasty, up to maybe 14, but a lot of rain and clouds and maybe all the way down to 6 next Wednesday. Thursday, we might get some sun, but it looks pretty cloudy to me. So yes, daylight savings is going to end for 2023 on Saturday evening. Fun fact, our Canadian government has participated in daylight savings since 1908. They've also left it up to individual provinces to decide whether or not we're going to keep going with it, and our province has had legislation in place since 2019. But we're waiting for Oregon, Washington, and California to have their ducks in a row. So until then, Dawn, you get an extra hour of beauty rest. Not sure it's going to help. Back to you.
Thanks, Cari, and thank you for watching. If you have a local news story you'd like us to report on, you can always send us a note, as well as your pictures and video, to news@chilltv.ca. Thanks for watching. Have yourself a great weekend. A reminder again, it's the time change. Clocks go back 1 hour, either Saturday night or Sunday morning. Have a good one. I'm Don Lehn.